Hey folks, I'm back. Um, yeah, I think in the last video I told you guys that I had colon cancer, and I was taking the fast chemotherapist chemo, chemo treatment anyhow. Instead of going 6 months, I was just 3 months, and um, I would get a fusion once a month, and I was taking 8 pills a day. And my wife, who usually gets my medicine for me because I had gotten so weak, she would bring my medicine to me. She wasn't even allowed to touch the medicine. They come in cups, and she had to just hand me the cup, and I would just dip it over in my mouth and swallow water behind. It was real strong medicine, and it got to where everything I ate, I just throw it back up. And one night, my wife, she said she couldn't sleep in the bed with me. She had to sleep in another room. And I got up to use the restroom, and the room span around with me, and I fell, hit my face on the countertop, busted my nose, cut me above my eye. The wife comes running in. I couldn't stand up. She calls her sister and her brother. They all come up, and 911. They all come running out. I had to go into the hospital, and she couldn't go in with me because of the COVID-19. And they took my temperature while I was in there, and I was running a temperature of 103. And they couldn't, it shut down my entire digestive system. The chemo had done this. It shut down everything, and my oncologist came in my room every day that I was there. I got to hand it to him. He was really, really good. And they put an NG tube in me for the first 2 days. And there was the doctor that was over this while I was in there. She was I think she was a surgeon. And she come in there and asked me if I wanted the NG tube out. And I said, well, yeah, I'd like to have it out. But the thing was, is I didn't know and she didn't know that I wasn't ready. But for 15 days, I laid in the hospital and lost 20 pounds. It was really horrifying because they couldn't get my system to start back up. The only way they could feed me is through the NG tube, and they had to baby me on broth. They would bathe me on the bed, and I couldn't go to the restroom. I just had to use the restroom there. They would. I couldn't even wear any clothing except for a skirt. What do you call those things? Anyhow, and I just had to pee or poo right there in the bed, and they'd clean me up. And that's not a fun thing to go through. But I did get my iPad out there, and I got to watch a few movies on my iPad, and that was the only enjoyment. My wife could not come into hospital, but she surprised me on the last day. They let her come in. That was the day that they took the restrictions away from the hospital, and they allowed at least one person to come to the hospital, and it was her. But a day after this doctor took my NG tube out, my surgeon who put my port in, and he's also the one that done the colon surgery on me. Real good doctor, real good surgeon. He come in and he sees me throwing up, and he asked them. He said there was 2 nurses in the room, and he said, who told him he could take his NG tube out? And they told him the surgeon who did. And he took over. He's like one of the master surgeons over the hospital. He's a big wheel there anyhow. But he pointed his finger at those 2 nurses. He said, if he throws up one more time, he said, put the NG tube back in him. Well, it didn't take me long, about 10 minutes, and I threw up again. And they put the NG tube back in me, and I kept that thing in me for about another 9 days till I got where I could eat a little bit. I got some strength back, and on that last day, I was still my waist was just, I mean, it was almost like water, and well, it was just brown water, is all it was. And the hospitalist doctor, I would get a new one of those about every 3 days. Well, there's a new one. Well, my surgeon came in. He spoke to me for a little while. My oncologist was in the room. The two of them spoke to me. They could see I was getting better. Well, this new hospitalist, he came in, and he looks at me and he says, "Mr. Croft," he says, "you look like you're," he said, "I see here by your records," he said, "we're just waiting for your stool to get solid again." And I said, "Yes, that's what we're waiting for." He said, "I think that would happen faster at home than here in the hospital. Don't you think?" And I said, "Oh, most definitely." He said, "Well, I think he said, I'm going to get a hold of your surgeon, and we're going to see about letting you go home today." I said, "Well, that would be great." And it was about maybe 20 minutes after that, and my wife comes walking in the door. Well, I come home, and I was still weak as water, but I got in the house, and it took me about another week before my stool started thickening up. I'd still have to get up and run to the bathroom. What little running I could do, I would have to scoot to the bathroom practically. But the chemo, they almost lost me twice in the hospital. I got that week. The night that I went to the emergency room, if I had not went by the ambulance, if I had tried to go by, let my wife take me, I would have probably died. I got so weak in the hospital, they had to take the test on me, the COVID-19 test, before they could move me in to a room. And I was amongst a lot of other patients who was taking this test. And I got so weak there, I couldn't even hardly talk. I was so weak. I just told I just told the good Lord, I said, "If you're ready for me, go ahead and take me. I'm ready." You know, I felt that bad. I think that I was within seeing distance of death. But they brought me back around, and then one time while I was in my room, I made it to the restroom with some help of a nurse, and I used the restroom, and I came back out, and there was a new doctor that was in the room, and she was overseeing them cleaning up the floor and changing my sheets on the bed, but she was just watching them. And she looked at me, and she saw how I looked, and she said, "Your blood pressure is extremely low." She could tell just by my blood pressure, and I was really dehydrated. I mean, I couldn't hardly stand up. She told me, "Sit down in the chair right there." So I sat down in the chair, and they almost lost me that time. But it was in between the emergency room and in that particular time in the room that they almost lost me. And to be honest with you, they thought they were going to lose me. My oncologist, he actually called my wife at home, and it scared the crap out of her because he didn't know what to do. He was completely lost because then they still don't know why it shut my system down the way that it did. It was, I mean, he said he's done several of these type of chemotherapist treatments, and he said he'd done several of them and never had anything like this happen. That's the reason he would come in and he would sit in my room for 20 to 30 minutes and watch me every morning. There would be 3 doctors that come in and see me every morning. He would be the first one there every morning. He would be there around 7:30, and he would sit there till sometimes till 8:30. He would sit there until he was the last doctor in the room, in and out, and he would leave me. He would be the last one to leave, and he would make sure there was nurses in the room when he left. Really good doctor, really good doctor. I got all respect for him because of the way that he treated me while I was in there. But, you know, got a hold of a doctor down in Shands, Dr. Sibula, and when I told her, she was, she was like, well, she says, after all you've been through, hey, this is kind of a bad story. And I said, yeah, but it is what it is. And they gave me a CT scan of my abdomen the other day, well, last week, and I am completely clean of cancer. I have no more cancer. That doesn't mean that it can't come back, but I'll keep on top of it. Let's just say that. It was a big scare. I never thought that I would be the one in my family to get cancer. Never thought that. But I did. I mean, things bad enough for me as it was, and I'm sure things are bad enough for some of you guys also. But I thought I'd let you know that what happened to me for those 15 days in the hospital, why I had to go in, what the chemo did to me, how close I came to death, how ready I was for death, how horrifying it was, Doug. And the pain, good Lord have mercy. The pain of your digestive system being shut down is horrifying. They had to give me, every day they had to give me 2 shots of morphine just to relieve me of the pain because my system wasn't running at all. I mean, it was nothing but my heart was running inside of me. Like I say, anything that went in me come right back up. Even the broth, chicken broth, beef broth, they was trying to baby me on it to begin with. I would swallow 2 or 3 swallows of it, and then I'd throw it right back up. Anything I chewed and took down, it'd come right back up. While I was at home, to be honest with you, I dipped snuff. I'd take a dip of snuff. 10 minutes. I've been dipping snuff since I was a child. Okay, when I say child, I'm talking like 10 years old. And I just now turned, the 10th of this month, I turned 52 years old. And I've been dipping snuff. Well, I take that back. For the last 4 months, I haven't been dipping. I've quit. But anyhow, it was about 5 months now, I guess. Anyhow, I've quit, anyhow. But, like I said, I would put a dip of snuff in my mouth and I would spit it up within 10 minutes. I just couldn't keep it on my stomach. I couldn't keep it in my mouth. Anything I put in my mouth, it didn't matter what it was. A cough drop, I couldn't even keep a cough drop in my mouth. It was that bad. That's the reason I dropped so much weight. It was like going on starvation for 15 days. Maybe a few more days than that because all this really started shutting down a couple of days before I went into the hospital. I got completely dehydrated because anything I drank would come back up. It didn't matter. Water, Gatorade, tea, Coke, it didn't matter what I drank. It came right back up. Because my digestive system just completely shut down. The only thing running inside of me was most likely my heart and lungs. And anything that went through me and come out the bottom, it just ran through me. That's all it did. Wasn't no digesting of it or nothing like that. Didn't go into my bloodstream. Didn't help my body in no way, fashion, or form. But the pain from it, oh my stars. I can still recall that pain. They gave me 1 shot at one time, and they had been giving me 2 shots, and I'm not talking about 1 shot at, say, 9 o'clock, and then another shot at 4 o'clock. No, this was 2 shots at the time. They would give me 1 shot and turn right back around and give me another shot right on top of that one. I was on 1 shot, did nothing for the pain. The second shot, it took the pain away. But anyhow, I made it. One time they come and they just gave me one shot. Apparently that nurse didn't know to give me two shots, and she walked out of the room, and all I could think was, where's my second shot? And they looked like they weren't coming back, but I screamed at them. I said, what are you trying to do, kill me? And so they come back in, that nurse came back in, and she said, what's wrong, Miss Croft? I said, you're supposed to give me two shots of that morphine. I said, that has done nothing for me. And she went back out and she talked to the head nurse at the desk, and the head nurse told us, yes, give him another shot. So she come back in and gave me another shot, and that took the pain away. My wife stayed in touch with the head nurse there on that floor. And she was able to do that because my wife, she works at the hospital. Well, she works for the hospital now. She works for the hospital, but she works from home. She's a coder. But anyhow, and she knows a lot of people at the hospital, and she got in touch with this nurse, and she would call the nurse about 3 times a day, keeping up with me, since she couldn't be there with me. She stayed in the hospital with me the whole time I was recovering from the colon surgery. And she stayed with me down in Shands while I was when I had surgery on my head. She's been with me through thick and thin, and I love her so much. She's a wonderful woman. But guys, I just wanted to let you know what I've been through here for the last few months. It's, like I say, for about the last 3 years, me and my wife, we have been through mortal hell. I've had surgery, 2 surgeries on my head, and had 12 inches of my colon removed, and went through about 2.5 months of chemotherapy, and almost died in the hospital during 15 days that I was there. When I come home, it scared my wife so bad. We've been wanting a boat for a long time. Finally, when I got home, she told me she was tired of seeing me die, and she wanted to start living some. So we bought us a boat, brand spanking new boat. We're having to make payments on it, but it's ours. It's nothing huge. It's a tracker. It's not the classic type. It's a Pro 170. It's a small bass boat, tracker, aluminum, and we like it. We like to go bass fishing in the lakes around here and whatnot. And we go down to a river down in northern part of Florida where we have a little spot down there, a little getaway place. It was handed down to her and her brother, and there's a river down there, and it's right where the river pours into the ocean. So we go up river, try not to stay in the salt water very much. Well, we don't go out. Well, we have one day, but I try not to go out and get in that salt water because it's not a salt water motor. And if I do, I can have this stuff called salt off, and I spray my boat down with it. But anyhow, that's the boat. I just want to tell you that we did get a boat. I'm trying to live some, the old saying, get busy living or get busy dying. Well, I'm starting to live. Like I say, I just want to let you know what's been going on with me. My wife, she lost, like I say, we've been through hell for the last 3 or 4 years. She lost her mother. I lost my daddy. I've been through 2 brain surgeries and 1 colon surgery, and almost died from chemotherapy. And like I say, we've started living. So I thought I'd let you guys know all about that and get you caught up on my life and where I am. Oh, and my medicine, I am doing so much better since the surgery. I can go. The trileptal gives me double vision, and especially did after I come back from the hospital. It was bad. It was really bad. And so I told my wife to just drop the trilipton in the morning time. I just dropped that pill, and boom, the double vision went away. And I was not having any auras or no seizures. Finally, about 3 months later, I had an aura. I said, okay. So I went back on it for about a week, the trilipton, and then I come right back off of it. So that's what I try to do. Is I stay 3 months on the I still take trilipton at night, a half pill at night, and I was taking a half pill in the morning and a whole pill at night. And so at one time I was taking a whole one in the morning and a whole one at night, and then I went to taking none. Then I went back to taking half in the morning, not taking none in the morning time, and just taking my pill at night anyhow. Then I went to taking half. Then I just went all the way out off in the morning time, still staying with my pill at night. And like I say, I can go for like 3 months without an aura or seizure, and sometimes even longer. And then I'll have an aura. And when I have that aura, that's telling me, hey, you gotta take your trilipton. So I'll go back on for about a week. Just the half a pill in the morning time is all I do when I go back on. It wipes out the seizures again. Like about another 3 months, I'm safe. I'm good to go. Then I'll have an aura. But the seizures, I am doing wonderful on the seizures. It's spectacular. I mean, it's given me so much more confidence as far as walking around, getting outside. Just being with my wife outside of this house, it's given me so much more confidence. But like I say, I want to get you guys caught up on me, how I almost died, and how my seizures are acting. Thank you for watching, and anyone else who having the problems like I'm having, if they want to subscribe, go ahead and have them subscribe, and I'll try to make some more videos and keep you guys updated more often. I seem to not have a lot of time on my hands. I like to do these videos when I'm alone at home. My wife, she happens to be off with her sister right now. They went out to eat, and I don't like to do these things when there's someone in the house. But then, that's me. But just once again, just trying to keep you guys updated, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Thank you for watching.